One letter, one memory, one moment that changed everything. I found my mom's old journal, and it broke me. I was never good at goodbyes. That's why I stayed silent when I locked the door of my childhood home for the last time. The echo in the empty hallway felt like a memory breathing its last breath. I didn't cry. I thought I wouldn't. But something in the stillness of that empty space, where laughter once danced and life once felt full, gripped my chest tighter than I expected. After hours of packing and sorting through boxes of dusty memories, I found one last item. A small cardboard box, tucked deep in the back of my mom's old closet, something I had never noticed before. It was sealed shut with yellow tape and had her handwriting on the top, private. Do not open. Of course, I opened it. Inside were notebooks. Dozens of them. Worn, soft-edged journals with frayed corners and ink stains. My hands trembled as I lifted the first one. The scent of old paper hit me, familiar, yet distant, like the whisper of a memory long forgotten. I didn't know Mom kept journals. We weren't exactly a talk about feelings kind of family. I flipped open the first journal. The first entry stopped me cold. May 2nd, 1998, I'm pregnant. And I'm terrified. That was me. That was the day she found out about me. My chest tightened as I read on. The handwriting was shaky, uncertain, unlike the calm, composed woman I thought I knew. She wrote about how alone she felt. How the father walked away the moment he heard the news. How she sat on the bathroom floor for hours, unsure of what to do. She continued, I guess that means I'm doing this alone. I'm scared, but something in me says I have to try. This baby didn't ask to come here, but maybe, just maybe, I can make a life for him. Maybe he'll be the best thing that ever happened to me. Tears slipped down my face before I realized I was crying. I didn't know she felt this way. I had always believed I was just a part of her life, not the center of it. Entry after entry told stories I never knew. Picked up a third job today. My feet are killing me. But he needs new shoes for school. She didn't tell me she worked nights. She didn't tell me she cried herself to sleep when I was sick and she couldn't afford the doctor. I remember those days. I thought she was just tired. I had no idea she was carrying all that weight alone. Then came an entry from my 10th birthday. He hugged me today and told me he loved me out of nowhere. I wanted to freeze time. He doesn't know how much I needed that. I remembered that day. I'd gotten a cheap toy truck I really liked. I thought she was just happy because I smiled. I had no idea it meant that much to her. She didn't just love me. She lived for me. I kept reading. The sun had started to set outside the window. Shadows crept along the floor as the golden light poured into the room. I lost track of time. I read journal after journal, her voice filling the silence like she was right there with me. Every page gave me a piece of her I never knew I was missing. By the time I looked up, the room was bathed in twilight. The journals were stacked around me like a shrine. I felt something shift inside me. For the first time since she passed, I didn't feel completely alone. It was like meeting her again, not the woman who raised me, but the woman she was before me, beneath it all. I picked up the first journal again, held it close, and whispered, "Thank you, Mom. Not just for raising me, for fighting for me, for never giving up." She never asked for recognition. She never wanted praise. But if I could go back and hug her one more time, I'd tell her what I never did, that she was my hero. And she still is. I opened another journal. Some ink had blurred, like tears had been shed over the pages. One entry read, "Sometimes I dream about going back to college. I always wanted to write, study literature. But then I look at him sleeping on the couch, and I know, my dream is him now." She had sacrificed her own dreams for mine. I never knew that. She never told me. There was an entry about a man who had asked her out, He was kind, polite. But when I checked the time and realized school would be out in 30 minutes, I couldn't stay. Being a mother means putting someone else first. Always. She never went on dates. I used to think she just wasn't interested in love anymore. But the truth was, I was her love story. The journal from when I was 16 was painful to read. He screamed at me today. Told me I was controlling. He has no idea how hard it is not to scream back. I remembered that fight. I thought she didn't get me, that she was unfair. I had no idea she was doing her best to protect what little closeness we still had left. One entry shattered me. It's my birthday today. No one remembered. But he gave me a hand-drawn card. I cried in the kitchen where he couldn't see. I remembered that card, blue marker, stick figures, and a crooked heart. I didn't think it meant anything. But it meant everything to her. Then I found this. Today he stood in front of the class and won a writing award. I wanted to scream with pride, but I just smiled. Being a mom means celebrating quietly so they can shine loudly. She was at that ceremony. I barely noticed her in the crowd. I never thanked her. But now I realize she didn't come for recognition. She came because I mattered. The journals thinned out once I left for college. He hasn't called this week. I tell myself he's just busy. I leave the phone ringer on, just in case. I thought I had outgrown needing my mom. But I didn't realize how much she still needed to hear my voice. Then the entry came that I wasn't ready for. The doctor thinks it might be cancer. I'm not afraid for me. I'm afraid for him. I don't want him to hurt if I go. She didn't fight for herself. She fought because she didn't want me to feel pain. I had been angry at her for keeping her diagnosis quiet. But I understand now. She wasn't protecting herself, she was protecting me. Her last few journal entries were short. One simply said, "He's stronger than he thinks." I'm so proud. If I leave early, I hope he finds happiness. I hope he forgives me for not staying longer. There was no fear in her words. Just love. Just hope. I sat there, surrounded by the echo of her handwriting, the smell of old paper, the weight of years I never asked about. For the first time, I didn't just see her as my mother. I saw her as a woman, with dreams, regrets, joy, loneliness, and a heart that had quietly held me together. And in that silence, I whispered, "I see you now, Mom." Tucked into the final journal, between the back cover and the last page, I found a sealed envelope with my name on it. My heart skipped. Her handwriting was unmistakable, sharp, slanted, but gentle. I hesitated. I wasn't sure if I was ready to hear her voice again. But my fingers opened it before my mind could stop me. The letter began simply, "My dearest boy, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. But I never really left you." Her words felt like a whisper beside my ear. I read on through the tears as she told me how proud she was, how much she had loved watching me grow, not into a perfect man, but into a kind one. "You never had to be strong for me. Just honest." That was always enough. She wrote about the little things I didn't know had shaped me, how she taught me to say thank you, even when it was hard, to listen more than I spoke, to keep promises, even small ones. "You learned love from my silence more than my words." But it was love, all the same. I realized so many of the best parts of me had come from watching her, quietly, unconsciously. At the end of the letter, she wrote, "I always wanted to write my story, but maybe you'll tell it better. Maybe now, it's yours to finish." I looked at the stack of journals, and it hit me, this wasn't just her life. It was a legacy. She had left me the outline. I had the words. It wasn't just about remembering her. It was about carrying her forward. That night, I sat by the window and spoke aloud to her, like I used to as a kid after nightmares. I told her about my work, my fears, how I never figured out how to cook that one dish she made, and for the first time since her funeral, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like she was listening. The next day, I went to her grave. I hadn't been back since the funeral. I brought the letter with me. I didn't read it aloud. She already knew what it said. I just sat there, and for the first time, I didn't cry for what I had lost. I smiled for what I had known. I started writing. Not for an audience, not for fame, but for her. Her story. Our story. I shared bits on a blog. People wrote back, "I saw my mother in your words. Thank you for telling a story I was too late to ask about." Through her, others remembered their own silent heroes. She was speaking again, through me. I found myself becoming softer, slower, more patient. I called people back. I wrote real thank you notes. I listened without interrupting. It was like her voice was guiding me still. "You're stronger than you think," she had written, and finally, I believed her. I used to think death was the end. But my mom proved me wrong. She's still here, in the way I hold a door open, in the way I reread her letters when life gets heavy, in the way I tuck in my daughter and kiss her forehead the way Mom used to kiss mine. She's in every quiet act of love. She didn't disappear. She just became part of me.